Hey, it's Matt Kelly here. So I just had the absolute pleasure of interviewing Brian Brushwood. Now, Brian is a world-renowned magician. He's also the host of NSFW and Frame Rate on the TWiT network and Scam School on the Revision 3 network. Now, his shows get hundreds of thousands of downloads a week. He's a really cool guy, and I was lucky enough to interview him this morning, so here's the interview right now. Hey, it's Matt Kelly here from mattkelly.com.au. So I am here with the one and only Mr. Brian Brushwood. Now, Brian is a world-renowned magician. He's the host of various shows. Brian, thanks so much for being here with me.
Dude, de nada, man. Look, when I got started, I had success based on the advice of people who had already made it, so I'm always happy to share my time with anyone who wants to know more about how I got here.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so I just wanted to hit it off with you giving us a little bit of an intro to the journey where you started in magic, you've transitioned through to the online world in broadcasting. Can you tell us a little bit about the story, about it, from where you started to where you are now?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, when I first started, I quit my day job about 10, 11 years ago, and I thought if I could just make a decent living doing magic, doing something that I'm passionate and that I love with a stage show, then I'd be happy. 5 years later, I was making a great living touring college campuses, doing about 150 live shows a year, and it seemed like the natural next step was to try to break into television. The work I had done with television really disappointed me because I immediately lost control. The moment I sold my first idea, they were telling me, you got to comb your hair, you got to wear this sweatshirt, you got to do things this way. And it felt so dishonest and stupid to me that I was instantly attracted to new media. This is when YouTube was exploding, when all of a sudden you could get worldwide distribution with the click of a button. So the first thing I said, well, if I want to host a show and be popular, I need to have already hosted a show. So I came up with I was like, well, what can I do to get practice? So I realized I was on the road a bunch, and I had a couple of cameras, so I decided to bring the experience of life on the road. So I created a website, Brian Brushwood on the Road, and I captured these little vignettes that we posted on YouTube. And I think maybe the most popular one is about 10,000 views or something like that. So not a tremendous amount of views, but it was these really interesting tales of life on the road. For example, in this one right here, you're seeing somebody challenged me to try to disappear from a bathroom in under a minute. So I went into a bathroom and said, all right, come in 1 minute, and all of a sudden I will not be there. And instead what happened was this.
And he's like, Brian's in the ceiling. I don't know what happened next. The camera's on the floor, Seth's head hurt, and Brian's on the floor.
I would say that's not good.
So you can see, I literally fell through the ceiling of a hotel room. So you get in the shenanigans and tomfoolery when you're on the road. And so I just wanted to, I tell you what I learned from that. Nobody paid me anything for it, but I got fantastic experience as far as learning how to tell a story, learning how to edit things into a podcast format, and learn how to think in terms of visuals. And all of that was vital for when I pitched the idea of Scam School to Revision 3. I wanted to do a show where I taught street cons and scams and crime and badass, mind reading tricks, that kind of thing. And all of it played into it becoming a success. And from Scam School, now I'm trying to extend my tendrils into a bunch of different areas. That's why we do NSFW on the TWiT network, Frame Rate as well, and just slowly trying to build the empire from here.
Yeah, sure. I've got to ask, you mentioned back the first time you went and pitched Scam School to Revision 3. Was that walking in as a cold pitch? Did you get introduced to that from someone that you know, or did you just go, Jim Louderback at revision3.com, talk to me?
No, I was lucky enough, and this is one of the great things. When I was younger, it struck me as so unfair that people who are older than me just happen to already know all the important people in their business, and were able to call and get in on the front of the line. Sure. I was like, that's so unfair. But then I had it happen to me. I was a tremendous fan of Tech TV back in the day, so I pitched to Tech TV to appear on Martin Sargent's show Unscrewed back in the day.
Sure,
in fact, we just posted video of that on my YouTube account. And, it was a very nice, if forgettable, appearance. But we kept in touch, or at least I had a way to reach him. So when I called him, I wasn't a nobody off the street. I was like, oh, remember I was on your show that time? I'm like, hey, what's up? Yeah. And I pitched them the idea, and luckily they liked it. They wanted to pilot it, and from there we were able to make things happen. But to be honest, if there's anything I can impart, the most important key to becoming a success in Revision 3 was failing with the television project I had tried before then, because I firmly believe that failure is an integral part of success. You have to fail before you can knock it out of the park. So you have to know what not to do in order to know what to do. And I think that was a big part.
Okay. Yeah, which is something that we keep reading about time and time again, is fail. Like, it does not matter how many times you fail. Every failure is one step closer to success. So, yeah, that just makes perfect sense.
So one of the best stories, one of the classic ones that you always hear success gurus talk about is, you guys are familiar with KFC and Colonel Sanders, all the way down there in Australia,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
So Colonel Sanders didn't even start until he was retired trying to sell his chicken recipe. And all he wanted to do, all he had was a good recipe. And he was looking for a restaurant that would allow him to use his recipe and just give him a cut of all the proceeds. And, of course, everyone's like, well, I mean, this better be some freaking awesome recipe. So he would go door to door to door, living out of the back of his truck. How many times do you think he heard no before he got a yes? You got a guess? Do you know the story already?
I've heard something like it, but you can guess it's hundreds. At least.
Ongoing.
Really?
It's hundreds, but it's hundreds past 1,000. I think it's like 1,100 or something.
Yeah.
But I don't care, 1,001. If I'm keeping track of it, the moment I hit 1,000 no's, I'm giving up at that point.
It's a long way to go, yeah.
But that's amazing. He didn't give up, because it's just a matter of statistics and probability. If you buy enough lottery tickets, sooner or later you have to win, no matter how long the odds are.
Yeah, fair enough. So you've done a lot of touring on the stage with the magic show, and then also with the live shows that you've done for, Scam School's based in the streets, and then and in bars, and you've done various bits with other shows like the Dig Nation live shows at South by Southwest. What's your absolute most memorable moment on stage, good or bad?
Wow. Okay. Well, I can instantly go to bad. There's no shortage of bad moments. And I remember working on the street and just having random people walk up and screw up the middle of my performance to make fun of me. There was one time I did my full show in West Virginia. They were not my crowd, and I knew for sure they weren't my type of crowd when the moment I left the stage, someone chucked an orange at the stage. And so I had this moment of like, they threw fruit at my stage. That's not a cartoon thing. That just happened to me. What the hell? That was very messed up moment. But as far as one of the highlights, man, certainly last year when we did the South by Southwest at Stubbs Barbecue. Stubbs is a giant rock and roll venue where I saw so many concerts when I was in college. And to be on that stage, to have 4,000 people out there in the audience, and to pull off a hoax that spanned all the way around the world, broke a world record, and that allegedly got all the way back to Conan OBrien, may have been one of the coolest moments of my entire life.
Yeah, go back. Tell us a bit more about what happened there. So, can you tell the story about exactly what you did and what the result was?
I came into the show thinking nothing more than I'm going to do 30 minutes, and I pretty much know what routines I'm going to do. This should be a lot of fun. And then the folks over at Revision 3 just offhandedly say, hey, you know that we got the guys from the URDB over here, and maybe you could, I don't know, figure out something to involve them.
And this is right before the show.
All right. And so, meanwhile, I'm obsessing with the magic show. There's so many logistics to get ready. So I tell two of my best buddies in the world, Justin Robert Young and Brett Rounceville, I'm like, guys, if you can brainstorm some ideas for this. And between Brett and me and Justin Robert Young, we came up with this idea of trying to create the world's largest online Twitter hoax. And so specifically, this is a time when nobody knew where Conan OBrien was going to end up after he was kicked off the Tonight Show. And so we decided to try to rope everybody, thousands of people into this shenanigan where we would get all of them to tweet out that Conan OBrien just walked on stage and announced he's joining Revision 3. And so we were going to call it the world's largest online Twitter hoax. We were going to get certified by the URDB as a winner. We had no idea how successful it would be. 500 people instantly tweeted it out. It became a trending topic worldwide briefly. And then after, and we're told that all the industry insiders who saw this kind of thing totally freaked. They were like, "You got to be kidding me! Did this really happen?" And as word could spread through the grapevine, the word we heard is that Conan OBrien was woken up with a phone call, a panic phone call, asking if it was true, and he verified it was not. But meanwhile, we had a blast, and we were able to,
for sure,
make history with that. That's all that mattered to me.
Well, yeah, it probably has gone down in history. It probably will remain in history for a while because you've got that interesting audience following. So it's just crazy. Let's talk about a bit more about the reporting work. So you've done reporting work with particularly with TWiT in live streaming from big events. You've done CES and South by Southwest. There's a lot of unpredictability that goes down with live events. You don't know what you're going to see when you walk around a corner. You don't know who you're going to be talking to at the next trade stand, whatever it is. What are some of the challenges that you've faced with that unpredictability, and what do you really, really enjoy about it?
No, this is a great question, because when I first started, I built my career touring with live shows, and you never know what you're going to get with an audience, but that's a very specific environment where you're largely off the record. If you screw something up, somebody's not going to nail you to the wall on it, because they're going to forget about it the next day, right? Second of all, if you when you do scam school or something that's pre-recorded, it's going out and it's going to be on the record and everyone's going to see it. But you kind of don't have to worry too much because you have control and you get to edit anything that you don't like, right?
Sure.
So in weird way, these two totally separate elements fuse together, because I would suddenly find myself, when you do live coverage, you have to be spontaneous, you have to talk off the cuff, you have to keep things afloat, and you have to deal with all kinds of crazy situations that you couldn't predict, and you have to do it on the record, knowing that everything's going to be permanent. So it turns out that by building each of these skills separately, it ended up working out really well for me for doing stuff like covering the iPad launch or the E3, which I just love. I love doing all of the live events on the TWiT coverage.
The weekly podcast that you're involved in, the transition obviously went into broadcasting as a result of just the videos that you're posting up and the appearances that you've done. You've worked on building, particularly NSFW, on being a show based around the chat realm, as you guys call it. This is just the chat room of the fans that hit you guys every single week, and they're tweeting you every single day, just about everything that goes on. And there's all of these stories that have continued on week after week and developed. How big a part do they play in the success for NSFW?
Oh, absolutely. I would say that NSFW's success is 100% firmly based in the engagement of your audience. And I've always been of the firm belief that I owe the audience everything and they owe me nothing. So that's why when it comes to the NSFW experiment, I've always been, if anything, an oversharing person. But I think it's worked out very well. I mean, people who are passionate about the TWiT network often are passionate about Leo Laporte because they've been following him so long, and they appreciate being let on the inside. And certainly I'm definitely trying to follow in the footsteps of that. If you can earn the respect and trust of your audience, if you can get them to feel perpetually like they owe you more than you owe them, then I believe that you will always have success. And the way you do that is to keep giving to everyone, and to just remember, no matter what you're doing, if you're performing in front of an audience, you owe those people, your audience, everything, and they owe you nothing. And if you can believe that and make it part of your life, then I think, hopefully everybody will want to help make you a success. Which is a pretty powerful message.
From there, what other mediums do you use from a tech aspect to communicate? I know you're big on Twitter. You guys probably get a lot of emails through the NSFW show at is it at gmail.com? Is that the email address?
Yeah, it is. It's NSFW at Gmail, or NSFW show at gmail.com.
Yeah. So what other mediums do you use to communicate with the fans and keep that interaction building and growing?
Well, I had been focusing primarily on Twitter as a primary way for up to the moment to update people and let them know what I'm up to. But I'm really looking at switching over and focusing much more on Facebook. The penetration rate of Facebook is orders of magnitude bigger than
absolutely
Twitter. Yeah. In fact, one of the stories we covered on TWiT this week was about how many users really use Twitter. And it turns out that while Twitter claims 179 million accounts, if you filter out just how many people follow 60 people, which I think a lot of people who are into Twitter follow at least that much, less than 17 million. Is that amazing?
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, there's only 17 million hardcore Twitter users, and even if you just filter out how many follow one person and are followed by one person, that alone cuts it from 170 million, 179 million down to like 80 million or so.
Yeah, okay.
Whereas Facebook posts 600 million people, individual people, log in at least once per month.
So they're actual active users, which is you're in a different ballpark.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna focus a little more on Facebook, especially now that Facebook has a tool to migrate my personal page over to a professional page, which will remove that 5,000 cap off the top.
Cool. Okay, sure. So you'll have one of those celebrity pages.
Yeah, I'd hate to be that. I have to be that guy. I mean, I've been at the 5,000 cap for months now, and now there's a backlog of 500 more people trying to get in. So I'm going to try to please everyone by migrating everything over.
Yeah. Well, you have to do it. It's
Yeah.
sensible. So what are some of the future projects you guys are looking at? Is there anything in the pipeline that you can talk about, potentially with some of these shows or anything new?
Well, you know how it goes. Even while I've been doing all the podcasting stuff, we've had a number of television projects come and go. You know, you go in, you make your round of pitches, and you find out what they like and what they don't like, and then you revise for an idea that hopefully speaks to those things. That game continues to go on and on. Although I'm very excited about some of the TV stuff we're trying to cook up now, but I'm also putting together a lot of projects that I think could only be done in podcasting. And that's part of the reason that we're investing so heavily in the studio and that we're trying to, in fact, we're just about to unbox the brand new PC that'll control everything. I think it's important to, I love the digital communication, and I love the democratization of stardom. I love being able to connect directly with the fans, and I want to continue to do that in no matter what. I honestly don't think there'll be another time for the rest of my life that I won't be talking to the fans and getting some kind of response back from them.
Yeah, that's awesome. So there's bright things ahead anyway.
Hoping so.
Oh yeah. Okay, my final question, Brian Brushwood. Okay, imagine this scenario. You are stuck on a desert island. Okay, there is no one else there. There is nothing to do, but they have really good, fast Wi-Fi internet.
Okay, good.
Okay? Well, I don't know where it comes from. That's not relevant, okay?
Doesn't matter.
All you need to worry about is that in the journey from where you are now to getting onto that island, you are able to take one piece of technology with you. Brian Brushwood, what piece of technology would that be? This has to entertain you for the rest of eternity.
Okay. Do I have electricity on this mysterious island?
You do. There's a couple of PowerPoints around. You can just charge up whenever you want.
You know what? I'm gonna have to say I will just it will be the biggest, most powerful PC laptop in existence. Some kind of ultra high end Alienware thing.
Yeah, sure.
Something that'll let me play games for as long as possible. Something that I'll be able to continuously upgrade and build on.
With parts that you can obviously find around the island.
Sure.
Yeah,
you could dig up CD-ROM drive over there. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Sure.
That is your window onto the world. Let me tell you, man, everyone's afraid of the days that we start plugging our brains into the internet and become the Matrix. I can't wait. Until I'm immortal and smart as anyone connected to the hive mind, because certainly that's the trend that we're headed towards. Everybody, when's the last time you were totally disconnected from the internet, when you had no ability to connect to anything?
Years. Not in the past 18 months or
right. Well, and even those brief moments where during takeoff and landing when there's no electronics, I mean, you find yourself like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I guess. Oh, it's a magazine. That's kind of like a website in printed format, So it's like, look, we're just going to have more and more connection. We're all going to be connected, and I think that's great. I think that's going to make humanity a stronger race for it, and I think that it will allow many, many more underprivileged geniuses excel in the new world.
For sure. Brian, where can people find you?
Head on over to my website, shwood.com. That's SHWOOD. But definitely follow me on Twitter, because even though there aren't as many of us as I thought, I still very much want you to hear what I'm up to. So that's at Shwood, SHWOOD. And, of course, Facebook.com/Shwood, SHWOOD.
Awesome. Brian Brushwood, thank you so much for being here. Awesome. Really appreciate it. It was sensational work. You're doing interesting and exciting and crazy things. So thank you.
All right. Thanks so much.
Cheers.